So with the recent news and letter from Matt Fior, we got a new vision and update cadence that will be coming to ESO in 2023. This cadence and letter brought a lot of hope to me because it means that ESO is going to be doing something different next year. I for one think this will be healthy in the long term of the game, and I believe ESO needs something different. And in today's video, I want to talk about a specific part of the letter which he addressed, which is next year's chapter. He mentioned that they are going to do a multi-year story arc and bringing one of the most requested new features to the game. This is exciting me because I think there are 5 features that I've seen and kind of heard about, and also I've mentioned as well. And so let's go ahead and dive into those 5 potential features that could be coming to ESO in 2023. Thank you again to my members and patrons. If you'd like to become a member or patron, check out the link below in the description. You can get your name up here in the video, you get early access to videos, you get access to our members only Discord, you get badges and emotes. It's really awesome and you don't want to miss out. But let's go ahead and jump in. So idea number 1 is spellcrafting. This is a theory or an idea that I started picking up on when the teaser of High Isle started circulating and the stream team members received those Mages Guild looking tokens in the mail. This is an interesting idea and theory that in my opinion would make sense in the Elder Scrolls universe. I feel like players love to play magic based classes in this game primarily because of 2 reasons. Players love magic in Skyrim, but also another reason is I feel like mage classes in games in general are always so fun and satisfying. ESO isn't any different in the fact that magic based classes are usually the meta classes. They're easier to play and they're really cool. Like Magicka Sorcerer has been a powerhouse for a long time. Mageblade was also really strong at certain points in the game. Magicka Necromancer was insane. It's a little harder to play, but it was ridiculous. And then I also believe that Mage DK has always been the best Dragonite to play versus stamina when it comes to PvE. Spellcrafting adds a new spin to the magical aspects of ESO and could implement things like conjuration, alteration, and mixes of different types of spells. This could be a separate skill line that you need to rank up by reading books or collecting resources or components in the world through antiquities or quests. These components could drop from bosses or mobs that you could put into sort of like a cauldron or some sort of like recipe thing, and they could end up failing as well. But this could be cool because it could give us a chance to actually have things to grind for that drop certain powerful components for certain spells. Now, I will say that the likelihood of this being in the game I think is on the smaller side next year because this would be very hard to balance or to create balance and to have a ceiling of like what's the ceiling of creating spells, because let's be honest, having a system like this could basically be only like a certain amount of spells you could create. It could create a system that's very bland, it could create a system that's very predictable. So I don't know how highly possible that is, but I do know that I think a lot of people have wanted this, but nevertheless I still think that it could be a possibility. The next idea is more of a safer option, but I think one of the more realistic ones, and that is a new class. I think everyone wants a new class every year, and I think everyone's been wanting that since Elsewhere. New classes are exciting. You know, I've wanted one for a long time, but I understand the reasoning behind why they haven't implemented one. They've been trying to balance the game, they've been trying to fix the game, and they've basically been trying to make the game playable for everyone. But a new class would make a lot of sense. I think that the 3 classes that make the most sense is Bard, Monk, or Spellsword. They already have a lot of the animations and feel in the game for a monk. In the Black Drake Villa dungeon, this is a perfect example, the final boss is basically already a monk. And I know a lot of players have wanted an unarmed class. They actually had an unarmed class, which is kind of funny, and I think it's the beta or the alpha, but it didn't make the full build of the game. Spellsword is another class that I think that they could make and put in the game because, again, I think many people want a magical melee class. This is what a lot of players thought would come in with the High Isle expansion, but instead we got a card game. Spellsword again makes a lot of sense due to the ability to align with other games in the series. But if I had to pick one, Bard is my pick. Bard is just where it's at, and I think that there is a high probability that if there's a new class, Bard could make the cut. We had a quest dialogue or a quest that we did in High Isle that basically mentioned the power of music, and it essentially like has all these different powers, and people are like, okay, does this mean we're getting a Bard? Like, what's going on? Plus, ESO has taverns all throughout the game that have bards playing music, and it's in all types of Elder Scrolls games. It just makes sense, okay? It would also bring social aspects to the game, like new New World does with their music, and it just fits the game tremendously. I talked a little bit about the Bard class in the core combat values video. I have that link down in the description. That's the letter that they posted recently with the core combat values of the game. But I think Bard could be a tremendous support class. I think it could fit the game really well, and it could really mold the game into something even better. Idea number 3 was actually mentioned to me in stream recently and makes a lot of sense. And this is socketing weapons and armor. This is a perfect system that ESO could desperately use right now. These sockets could augment and improve your armor and weapons to do more damage or have added effects. They could also help customize your build even more and make it more unique to you. This goes along again with ESO's core combat values, which they want people to be able to play the way they want and have customizable builds and armor and all that cool stuff. Again, I talked about that in the letter a little bit, how we use champion points, you use traits, you use enchantments, all that kind of stuff, right? Sockets could be even cooler and a really good system for the game, I think personally. There could also be the ability to have sockets that give cosmetic effects, which you guys know me, I love cosmetics. So I actually think that this is a big possibility given, again, the combat core values and how it really wouldn't mess up the armor system with the sets they already have. They wouldn't have to go to a gear score or anything like that. I really like the socket idea. So whoever mentioned that in stream to me the other day, thank you. Idea number 4 is one that I have seen requested a lot in my stream, and that is multi-classing. A lot of players, I believe, would like this option. So what this means, if you don't know what that means, is essentially it's the ability to be able to spec into 2 different classes in the game. Again, this would go with the core combat values in kind of playing the way you want and customizing your build the way you want, but kind of also loses a little bit of class identity. So I don't really know if it would fit totally, but multi-classing has a lot of downsides. It could be extremely broken, and if they don't implement it well, the balancing along with that could just be a nightmare. I mean, you just have all these possibilities. So if they did implement this, I think that they would need to have a lot of downsides associated with multi-classing. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that means you can only pick 2 or 3 skills or a couple passives, or maybe you only get 1 bar or something like that. I don't know. But can you imagine in Cyrodiil people multi-classing? Like, it would be a nightmare, I think. But I think it is an interesting idea, and I don't think it's something that's totally far-fetched because, again, they want you to play the way you want to play. And I know other people really would like to use other class abilities, but again, how likely is it that they're going to let us do that? We really won't know until next year. Idea number 5 is one that's picked up a lot of steam in the last 2 years, and that is the Overland Plus mode, or some sort of veteran mode enabled for questing or Overland content. A lot of players in ESO feel that it is way too easy, and I believe it is way too easy. And those players would like the ability to toggle a veteran mode on or off to make it harder. But with this, there needs to be some sort of reward for doing this. I have made a whole video on this down below in the description that talks about ways you could do this, how you could put tokens that drop for all the different zones, and that could get you cosmetics or different gear or whatever. I believe that ESO could do this, and I think this is actually a pretty high possibility, and that you could see this potentially next year if they really want to implement something like this. I do not think that this is the sexiest update next year, and I don't think a lot of people will be super excited for it. I do think there will be a lot of players that will like it. It might not be something that pulls people back or something, but I do think it's something the game needs because a lot of players have complained about how easy this game is. And it is. I talked about it in the talk with the devs. When we're 5-tapping Molag Bal, it doesn't feel satisfying to kill the final boss of a quest line when you just beat him so quickly. Like, there's no weight to that, right? It's a possibility, but my bet is on a new class next year. I think the new class is something that we have the highest probability of. That's just my opinion. But with all these ideas, I will probably be wrong, like I was last year, when I thought High Isle was bringing ship combat or shipbuilding. And you saw how right I was about this, but instead we got a card game. But nevertheless, I do think there is a higher chance that I may be more right this time around because of the fact that they said they were bringing a new system that has been highly requested. And so what that means is someone is going to be right. This is an idea that has been shared by many people in the community, apparently. So a lot of people are going to be right. Maybe one of these ideas in this list will actually come out next year. But I really don't think anyone last year had the card game on their bingo list for ESO 2022 chapter. I just really don't. But if you guys have an idea or a community system or feature that has been requested that I did not mention, please link it down in the comments or share it down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it, but I'm going to keep theorizing this, going to see if I see any signs or anything like that. You guys know I like making these kind of videos, but if you do like this, make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon, stay up to date on all the content in the channel, and make sure to comment. Let me know, okay? But check out all these other videos up here. They're very helpful for you. But until next time, y'all, just remember, have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.